2 days ever since it released. But the film, mired as it is in one controversy after another, is garnering more eyeballs than the film itself. Most importantly, about what is being bitterly criticized as its pedestrian dialogues by Manoj Muntashir Shukla, the writer, who has now pushed its makers to do cosmetic surgery to lines that may have hurt film goers.
सीबीएफसी ने इस पे जो निर्णय करना है वो किया है। सेंट्रल बोर्ड ऑफ फिल्म सर्टिफिकेशन ने, उनका एक काम है। और जो फिल्म के निर्माता निर्देशक हैं और जो लेखक भी हैं, उन लोगों ने जो डायलॉग बदलने की बात है वो भी कही है। किसी की भी भावनाओं को आहत करने का अधिकार किसी को नहीं है।
This is the ban on the film in Nepal's capital Kathmandu as well as Pokhara. Back home, of course, there are several court petitions contending that the film mocks the epic Ramayana. Let's debate the aspect of what the writer of the film initially said, which was about creative freedom and actually reimagining the mythological epic Ramayana and the furor it subsequently created. Is Adipurush even anywhere close to any version of the Ramayana? That's what we are discussing, and of course all the controversies associated with it. Let me now welcome the guests. Gautam Chintamani, who is the author, writer and film historian, is joining us. Also Karthik Chopra, who is spokesperson for the Nirmohi Akhada. And Mukesh Khanna, who is an actor, will also connect with us, but at slightly delayed after this show begins. But you know what? First, let's listen to some political reactions, because it is now gotten out of what is called the creative box and it's becoming political every hour.
पहली बात तो यह है कि जो सेंसर बोर्ड उसे देखना चाहिए था कि इस प्रकार से जो हमारे महापुरुष हैं, जो हमारे आराध्य हैं, उसके मुख से इस प्रकार के शब्दों का बुलवाना कोई उचित बात है? ऐसे लोगों के खिलाफ तो कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए।
जिस तरह से इस फिल्म का प्रचार किया गया और विशेषकर भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लोगों के द्वारा, और जो फिल्म के जो राइटर है उनकी तस्वीरें भारतीय जनता पार्टी के हर नेता के साथ, डायलॉग राइटर का जो मनोज नाम के कोई व्यक्ति हैं, उस व्यक्ति की तस्वीरें आपको भाजपा के हर प्रोग्राम में, हर बड़े नेता के साथ उनकी तस्वीरें वो खुद ही ट्वीट करके बताते हैं कि मेरे भाजपा के नेताओं से कितने संबंध है। तो वो कैसे क्या लिखते हैं? आग भी तेरे बाप की, कपड़ा तेरे बाप का, तेल तेरे बाप का। बजरंग बली, महावीर बजरंग बली के मुख से ऐसी बातें, लंका भी लगेगी तेरे, जलेगा भी तेरे बाप का। व्हाट इज दिस?
इस फिल्म के माध्यम से मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम भगवान श्री राम का, भगवान बजरंग बली का और माता सीता का अपमान किया गया है। ऐसे घटिया निम्न स्तरीय सड़क छाप डायलॉग का इस्तेमाल किया गया है इस फिल्म के अंदर, जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी की असलियत को प्रदर्शित करता है और ये बताता है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी दरअसल एक सड़क छाप भाषा का इस्तेमाल करती है और वही इस फिल्म के अंदर इस्तेमाल किया गया है। ये किसके आशीर्वाद से फिल्म बनी है? शिवराज सिंह, योगी आदित्यनाथ, हेमंत विश्व शर्मा, देवेंद्र फडणवीस, एकनाथ शिंदे, मनोहर लाल खट्टर, इन तमाम लोगों का नाम दिया हुआ है। ऐसी फिल्में आप बना रहे हो?
फिल्म के बनाने वाले लोग हैं, लिखने वाले लोग हैं, ये अच्छी तरह जानते हैं कि सस्ती लोकप्रियता कैसे लिया जाए, क्योंकि प्रचार करने में उनको पैसे बहुत खर्च करने पड़ते हैं। तो इसलिए जानबूझ करके, और वो भी हिंदू सनातन धर्म पे ऐसे ही करते हैं कि जिसे हिंदू समाज को ठेस पहुंचे। उनको किसी की भावना से, धार्मिक भावना से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, उनको पैसे कमाने से मतलब है। और हमें ये पता चला है कि वो मनोज मुंतशिर शुक्ला हैं, उन्होंने इस चीज़ इनको लिखा है। पहले भी बड़े अच्छे उन्होंने लिखा है, 2-4 मैंने जो सुना है। तो इससे भी बड़ा दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण कुछ नहीं हो सकता कि मनोज जी जैसे लोग पैसों के लोभ में हमारे पौराणिक चरित्रों के साथ गलत संवाद करके दर्शा रहे हैं। इससे बड़ा निंदनीय कुछ नहीं हो सकता।
Let me now welcome all the guests. Gautam Chintamani is joining us and Karthik Chopra, of course. Gautam, I want to come to you first, considering you are somebody who watches cinema very, very closely and may not have one view. But the point is that, this is based on, they said when the movie released that we are inspired by Ramayana. Do you think that, when I look at it and, I see it, I don't think it's even Ramayana, and it is not Ramayana because of, I have several reasons. But what do you think, Gautam Chintamani, just by naming the hero Raghav, which is another name for Lord Rama, do you think, and having Sita Ma and having, Hanumanji, everything, does it even qualify to be seen as Ramayana? We can say it's some version of Ramayana.
Well, the filmmakers were very clear that they were making a version of Ramayana, or at best interpreting it. I remember when the teaser came out and it generated a lot of talk about how the visual and the oral interpretation of Lord Ram, especially Hanumanji, was taking place. I think it's very clear that this is a retelling of Ramayana as far as the filmmaker goes, because they were very convenient in talking about it from that perspective. Later, now I also heard that you said that they were thinking of doing some kind of repair work as far as the dialogues go. Well, I think this reaction which we see today was something which was waiting to happen. If you go back and look at the teaser of the film or the first look of the film, I don't think anything has changed from that time up until now. At that time also they were saying that they were assuring a lot of people that just because you don't see certain things, or you see Hanumanji in a very Planet of the Apes avatar, be rest assured this is very close to how Ramayana. And now it's going to enter into a different terrain. I mean, no matter which way you look at it, there was no doubt in anybody's mind that this was a retelling, or this was trying to capture Ramayana on the big screen. I don't have any doubts, at least as a viewer in my mind, that this was what I was promised and what I got to see. And in fact, when I saw the teaser also, I was not very, very kicked about the way this was being interpreted, but it's a creative liberty of every filmmaker to reinterpret or talk about.
Yeah. So Gautam, do you respect the creative freedom of cinema, of a film director? We've had several episodes. Andhi, the 1970s film was banned because, the main protagonist was very similar to the Prime Minister of that country, the way her hair was, the way she spoke, her alleged, differences with her husband, etc. We've seen lots of this. Kissa Kursi Ka was another thing. But you know what? There is a difference. When you touch the epics, and I'll talk about the religiosity of it in a bit, but when you talk about mythology, you can have different, there is Kamba Ramayana, there is Tulsi Ramayana, there is, Valmiki's Ramayana, there are different versions, of course. But when you attack the kernel of these characters, somewhere you can only think about that, how silly.
I agree with you. I think that there is, I don't have any problem with creative liberty or creative interpretation. But having said that, it's a very fine line that you have to tread. I mean, a few years ago when the Da Vinci Code was released, everybody knew that it was based on Dan Brown's book. But there was a huge furore in many states in India. Many states in India took the decision of banning the film. And the Supreme Court had to step in and say that please put a disclaimer at the beginning. The filmmakers never really clarified or took a clear stance while making this film. I mean, I think that the whole idea of releasing the teaser, that kind of teaser, and expecting that it would be praised to the high heavens was sheer stupidity, if you excuse my saying so. Because like you just said, that there are certain facets that you have to adhere to, you have to follow. I don't have any issue of making a film on Lord Ram, because there have been very great instances in the past. My grandfather, Dr. Arudra, wrote some of the finest Telugu songs when it came to Lord Ram. But the thing is that it is what you take as your basis. And the filmmakers here were very, very clear that they are taking all the texts which were out there and considered holy or revered or respected were consulted. Now, all you need to do is just read a few lines of the Hanuman Chalisa, and you look at the way Hanumanji has been depicted in this film.
Yes.
So I think creative liberty is fine. You can take creative liberty, but you also have to keep in mind that there are certain sensitive issues and you have to tread that line very, very carefully. I don't
Absolutely.
mean to say that there will be a backlash or you have to be afraid of people or you have to be afraid of popular opinion. Nothing of that sort. I'm just saying that certain things need to be taken care of. I mean,
Right.
today, if you look at Lord Ram or if you look at Mahatma Gandhi, and that's a very wide range that I'm giving here, you have to respect these sentiments of people and you have to respect certain texts the way they have been handed over
Exactly.
generations. That's all I have to say
Yeah.
on the creative aspect of this film.
Praveen Gandhi, who's a film director, is also joining us, and welcome. But first, I will go to Kartik Chopra. Kartik Chopra, I heard Manoj Muntashir, I mean, who's written some beautiful songs. Teri Mitti is what an inspiring song it is. So I'm really not trying to run him down. But I heard him, and he said, and I was reading, and he said that, this is to attract हनुमान जी, बच्चे हनुमान जी को कैसे देखते हैं. आप रामानंद सागर की रामायण उठाकर देखिए, उसमें भी अगर आप देखेंगे जब हनुमान आते हैं तो वो किस तरह से जवाब देते हैं लंकेश को वगैरह वगैरह. Do you think this is the kind of Hanumanji that I would like my kid to, kind of get acquainted with? I mean, let me read this line. कपड़ा तेरे बाप का, तेल तेरे बाप का, आग भी तेरे बाप की, तो जलेगी भी तेरे बाप की. I mean, we say my बाप. I was arguing with this with some people in the newsroom. We say आप हमारे माई बाप हैं, ठीक है, माई बाप, लेकिन तेरे बाप की ज़मीन है क्या? That is derogatory. I think it is downright derogatory to talk like that, and I don't think any child who's brought up here, and I'm not talking about the community, will ever want to see someone who's Hanuman, of course not getting into the philosophical aspect of Hanuman, who's been reduced, I'm sorry, to being this, Planet of the Apes kind of a character, great knowledgeable man, Vayu Putra. Anyway, that's another conversation. But do you think any parent would like the child to be introduced to such a Hanuman?
I don't know whether Mr. Manoj would like his children to be introduced to Lord Hanuman like this, but I don't think any sensible thinking parent would like this. Secondly, I keep saying, even recently we had this controversy over Besharam Rang in the movie Pathan. Why is it that the filmmaking fraternity always seems to think that, sensationalism can trample over sensitivity? You have a country that is deeply steeped in religion, faith, and mythology, and is it just that our faith is the one that needs to be attacked on a regular basis? Why don't they try that with some of the Abrahamical religions and then see what sort of fatwas get issued against them across the world? Why is it that us Sanatanis are constantly at the receiving end
Mr.
of
Chopra,
such
let's not forget
freedom?
Salman Rushdie's satanic verses.
Creative freedom.
Let's not forget
Salman. I'm talking about the recent past. I'm talking about the fact that over the last 3 or 4 decades, we assume people have matured to a level to understand that, look, if you are going to keep doing this, you are going to have a backlash. So
okay, I'm asking you because
I respect creative freedom. Creative freedom.
I know, and you are from the Nirmohi Akhada.
Yeah, yes,
you're
my
from the
creative freedom should not impinge or should not
I believe in that also. I believe
another
in that.
person's sensitivity.
I believe in that also. I do. So therefore I'm asking you, do you think it is even Ramayana? Because for me, it was some version of the Ramayana. That's what we are asking today. Adipurush is perhaps not Ramayana.
As the earlier panelists clearly said that when this movie was initially introduced, they referred clearly that this was going to be based on the Ramayana. Now you can't say that this is the basis, and if the public does not like the offensive dialogues that are in the movie, you suddenly turn and say, no, this is not the Ramayana, this is a version of, or this is something completely, this is convenience. If creative freedom is something that you believe in, then stand up and have the guts to say, yes, this is what I had announced as, and this is what I have made. Right. Have the guts, don't back off, and then don't cry about creative freedom.
Right. Praveen Gandhi, you are from the Tamil film industry. I'm asking you, maybe the Hindi dialogues, I do not know. I'm sure I'm not going to presume you do not know Hindi. But the thing is, you have one film in Tamil Nadu recently, Ponniyin Selvan, which is also a period drama. We've seen that film. I'm not going to go into the cinematic merits of that film by Mr. Maniratnam, but there was no there was a bit of a controversy initially, you know, about this sort of. But what kind of dialogue? Look at this. कपड़ा तेरे बाप का, तेल तेरे बाप का, जलेगी भी तेरे बाप की. It's like in Tamil saying, "Wanga appana kootinduva." That's the kind of a dialogue in a film. You know, you can use a decent word. You can say, "tai" for the mother, but you can't say "wanga atava kootinduva." Which ladies and gentlemen, I'm speaking Tamil, which is my mother tongue. I'm just trying to tell Praveen Gandhi the difference between a word for mother, which is "tai," or amma, as I am called by my children, or ata, which is also used in rural Tamil Nadu. But when you want to really hurl, insults, then you can say that. Do you agree with the kind of dialogues which have been written for Anjaneya or Hanuman in this film, Praveen Gandhi?
Yeah. Madam, I don't know the Hindi, but I know Rama. I know Hanuman. I love Rama and Hanuman because they are India property, India God. So, totally, I want to appreciate that film got a good collection and different reviews are there. Different reviews are there, but it will come. Even Punniyin Selvan, Maniratnam film also had same problem. But here, these days, people are very, very, very sensitive point for creative side. See, creative is the just for entertain as well as we are bring the natural. That is the these days demand for audience. But the critics, some people, they want to see everything is wrong way only. It's wrong way. But of course, if you are using bird words, that we must avoid those kind of dialects. This kind of mythological. Mythological means respect. Those days, people given the respect for each and everyone. But for time being, we are using the culture of colloquial words. It is wrong. I agree. But overall, what is the intention of the film? Intention of the film, they have to respect for Rama and Sita and Hanuman. That intention we have to respect for that, because these days children and youngsters, they don't know any value of Indian culture and Indian mind.
Praveen, that's what we are saying. With these kind of dialogues, I don't think my child should be introduced to this kind of Hanuman. I'll come back to you. Gautam Chintamani, I want to ask you something. Somewhere, considering that you know your cinema backwards, somewhere I feel that there was an attempt. You see, Ramayana has, as a lot of Puranas have been simplified over the years, even by authors. They have seen to it that the Ram is slightly modern, Shiva is also someone who's modern. We are not stuck in the Puranas as it were, so that the younger generation kind of has a familiarity with our old epics. I somehow feel that this was also an attempt by giving Hanuman these kind of what the Congress party and every other political party has said, tapori language, teri bua ka bagicha hai kya jo tu hawa khane chala aaya. All this kind of dialogue which is there, which is very nice. I mean, tapori is something which I really like. Rangila, Amir Khan, Mr. Bachchan did it way back. But the point is that do you think that they were trying to attract what is called prepubescent children? That kind of constituency, and also those who may not be familiar with Ramayana, to say, okay, let's inject these kind of dialogues and you'll get that, and it actually backfired, Gautam.
No, I don't think that's the case here. You're giving too much of leeway to these filmmakers, Sudha, and that's very kind of you, because I understand the whole aspect of creativity. But that was something what Maniratnam was attempting with his version of Ravanan and Raman in Hindi. Because in that, if you see the way he's cast Govinda to play Hanumanji,
yes,
you set it up in a very modern setting. Now, what you were explaining to the audiences and speaking to Mr. Gandhi is a fascinating example and an illustration which can completely sum up this whole Adipurush controversy. क्या आप पिता नहीं बोल सकते? पिता श्री ना बोलें, पिता बोलें, पिताजी बोलें, बाप बोलना जरूरी थोड़ा है. और अगर आप इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं, if you're introducing the younger generation to an epic, I am really very worried then if Mr. Om Raut and Manoj Muntasir think that this is the kind of dialogue that young children will connect with these days. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think this is a complete misfire. Uh, I I think that they were attempting to make Ramayana, but at the same time, if you're wanting to make Ramayana for a younger generation, there are other ways of doing that. I mean, Farhan Akhtar gave the same example when he was remaking Dawn. He said that I'm making my Dawn for a younger generation. And if you see certain set pieces in that film, yes, they are meant for today's generation. And at the same time, one has to be very clear that Chandra Barrett's Dawn has aged very well. I mean, it still looks fresh. And given half a chance, I would still watch the Amitabh Bachchan Zeenat Aman Pran Dawn as opposed to the Shah Rukh Khan Priyanka Chopra Dawn. But that's a very subjective and a very personal thing. I don't think that they were making this Ramayana for a younger generation, because if they were making this Ramayana for a younger generation, a lot of things would have been different. The setting would have been different, the approach would have been different, and for one, the casting would have been different. I mean, I don't have any disrespect for Saif Ali Khan or Prabhas, but I think that the casting would have been different if it was meant for a younger audience. So I think it's a complete misfire, and this one's completely on the filmmakers. I mean, they had all the support from the public. They had even after the intense backlash of the teaser, they were given a lot of leeway because they said that we will fix things, or I'm paraphrasing what they said. Even now they are saying that, we are going to fix the dialogues. I don't know how you do that because you've already tested it twice.
Right.
And, it's completely insanity if they think that they can do this kind of a thing again and expect different results.
Absolutely. Kartik Chopra, now there is a controversy which is brewing in Nepal. Of course, it was brewing for a couple of days about Sita Ma, whether she's the daughter of India, daughter of Nepal. There is this beautiful Janaki temple, of course, in Nepal. And, let's not get into the historicity of it, but right now they are planning to ban it in both Kathmandu as well as in Pokhara. Do you think the film should be banned? I mean, does it deserve banning, as it were? Because I'm speaking about Nepal, because now they have also jumped into this entire controversy and they say ban it, and they have their own reasons for it. But let's say yet another added to the list. Kartik Chopra.
See, the Nepalese are free to do whatever they like in their country. So that's up to them. As far as we are concerned, this movie has certain defects in it, and these defects must definitely be rectified. The film should be pulled from the theaters, these defects rectified, and then put up to the censor board again, and let them then decide how it has to be released or not released. We are not going to accept playing with the sentiments of our faith, and have the filmmakers think on a repeated basis that the Indian public will grin and bear it and carry on with it, and those who want to see the movie will go and see it, and those who don't want can keep protesting. I mean, this is a flagrant disregard of an epic, of something that is holy to us. So we definitely want that this film should be pulled, and these amendments that need to be made as being promised by the filmmakers. We don't agree with violence. We don't agree with the violence on the streets or destruction of theaters, etc., and all that's going on. That we don't agree with. But definitely, the movie needs to be pulled back and re-looked at.
All right. Praveen Gandhi, there have been a lot of instances where a particular song is introduced because, people like let's say the main jodi of the film, or the ending was changed after the first week because the ending was very sad. I have heard several stories about, the Telugu version of Ek Duje Ke Liye, how there was a lot of. So tell me something, if these people change the dialogue and make it more decent, and I think they should, this is my personal opinion. Of course, I'm all for creative freedom, but this kind of crassness is something which can be totally avoided. So if you think, do you think that will really help the film, or it's now lost? I mean, it's made its money so much that it had to make, and now, I mean, it won't make any difference to anyone.
Writers, they have freedom. They can write. But here we are taking the myth of Indians, the whole history, mythological, Rama stories, everyone knows about inch by from the blood, from the atoms, hormones. We know everything, each and everything. The respect is very important for each character. How Hanuman, how Sita madam, how Lakshman, front of Ramar. So respect is the main point of Ramayana. Even Ravana, deathing stage, Ravana, Rama sent Lakshman, go and respect Ravana. Because Ravana is a very powerful man, powerful like king. So go on, give the respect and get some message from him. What is the life? What he has to do. Yeah, what he has to do, what he should not do. So many things Lakshman went and get the message from Ravana. The whole thing is respect. Give respect to older and achieve people. That we have to maintain.
Right.
So we should not create any illogical point for that. But anyway, I appreciate again and again for the team. The intention of the film is they want to show what is the Rama. How was the great man Rama?
All right. Okay, I'll come back to you. Mukesh Khanna, the very well-known actor, is also with us. He's done some iconic roles and he has been very vocal about Adipurush. Namaskar, Mukesh ji. I just want to know from you, because I heard what you said. You know, we are asking the question, Mukesh ji, that is Adipurush even Ramayana? It's a version maybe, but a very watered down version.
Madam, how can you make a version of Ramayana? It's not a Harry Potter sequel or anything else. It is our Granth. Mahabharat and Ramayana are our Pavitra Granth, जिसको हम सालों से we are Ramcharitmanas की कथाएं होती हैं. There is every year, there is every street, there is the corners, they have a Ram Leela done. How can you show suddenly? I just heard the new remark. You know, I thought these writers will just hide their faces. The way the whole India is reacting, but he is coming out with new explanations. And I have heard the story from Dada Dadi. The way she used to tell me, I am telling the same thing. This thing. Arey bhai, Dada Dadi tells that Pota Poti in her own style. That is your home. But this is your responsibility. You are talking to 140 crore people. How can you use that same language? You have no sense. I thought you will not even have read the Mahabharata because they have not even shown the Ravan ko kaun sa vardhan mila. They have shown Hiranyakashipu vardhan. There are so many things. So even if you are asking me that he said this is my version, that was Valmiki's version, then it was Charitmanas Tulsidas version, then Ramanand Sagar version. This is my version for the people of today, of the stupidity. This is absolutely stupidity. You cannot say Ramayana. You can have a different kind of shootings with big grandeurs. Mahabharata war has still not been shown properly. See, Bahubali, they've shown the war. It was very near to what the Mahabharata war should look like.
Right.
But it is not even Bahubali. It is not like the one.
Mukesh ji, we remember you from Mahabharata. I mean, we remember you playing a very important role. I just want to know that when so many writers are writing together, you know, an epic like this, I mean, making it, let us say, more accessible. Or यहाँ पर I will quote the, Manoj ji, who is the writer of Adipurush. He said, it is just to make it more easy for the generation. उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि आजकल के बच्चों को तो बहुत को पता ही नहीं है राम कौन है, तो हमने सोचा ऐसे डायलॉग्स लिखे जाएं जिनसे ये बच्चे वाकिफ हो जाएं कि ये था. बट मुझे दिस इज माय पर्सनल व्यू, दिस काइंड ऑफ डायलॉग आप अपने काल के लिए कालीन बिछा रहे हैं, जो हमारी बहनों को हाथ लगाएंगे उनकी लंका लगा देंगे. This, I grew up in Delhi. I know exactly when you say Lanka laga denge, and the reference to Baap everywhere. What do you think is going on here, Mr. Khanna?
You know, I recently, in the morning only, in some program, I heard his another funny explanation. He's trying to give his justification. Where, you know what he said? He said, I am making this Mahabharata not for you people. I am making it for आपके 10 घर में जो 10-12 साल के लड़के हैं उनके लिए मैं महाभारत, उनके लिए मैं रामायण. अरे साहब, वो बच्चे आपसे ज्यादा जानते हैं रामायण. क्या सिखाएंगे आप रामायण को? Who told you that our kids don't know Ramayana? Who told you? You go to the villages, every small kid will run for the Ram Leela every year. and you are claiming I'm making it for the children of that is why I'm using Tapuri language. अरे पकड़ के मारना चाहिए आप पंडित जैसे हनुमान कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा बेराजे ऐसे आपको चमड़े का ड्रेस बता दें. You are making him look like a cartoon character. You are making Ravan look like a Laudin Khilji with a Muslim beard. And then सुना है वो नाक के बीच में सोता है, मटन खिलाता है नाक को. क्या मजाक है? Even ये अपने इंद्रजीत जो हमारे मेघनाथ से
जी,
और उनको इन्होंने टाटू लगा दिया. And then said this is because they are making it for the kids. No sir, no. Ramayana is only one. Your version, you're not above Valmiki.
yeah,
Valmiki ji. You're not above Valmiki ji. So don't dare to say that मैं अपना version बना रहा हूँ. पकड़ के मारेगी आपको हिंदुस्तान.
So, Mukesh ji, before I go to the other guest, I want to know, Mukesh ji, that now they have said that they will revisit the dialogues and see to it that it is more people friendly. Do you think does that make a difference at all?
मैडम 5 डायलॉग हटाने से हमारी शिकायतें पूरी नहीं. ये costume. Can you remove the costume? Can you remove the way the dialogues are said? Somebody even said Ram in certain scenes looked like Atiq Ahmed. Can you imagine? He is wearing a dress in which he was looking not like Ram. His dresses are always believed to be a one type. There is no time for anybody to make it look like a pant or shirt में नहीं दिखा सकते राम को ना. आप मुस्लिम धर्म के लोगों को आप चेंज करके मुस्लिम धर्म तक दिखाती नहीं है. सिख धर्म में आप चेंज कीजिए. क्रिश्चियंस के आप लोगों को आप धोती कुर्ता पहना साफ करके देखिए, आपको मालूम पड़े, आपको छुपने की जगह. तो हम क्या करते हैं आप? और 5 डायलॉग तो मुझे तो लगता है इसके पीछे मंशा यही थी कि 5 डायलॉग डालो. इनको लगता है मालूम था लोग चिल्लाएंगे, फिर कोई बच्चा भी समझ सकता है कि कोई एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेगा, फिर हम 5 डायलॉग को चुपचाप हटा देंगे.
ठीक है गौतम
अभी तो मुझे
चिंतामणि,
डाउट होने लगा.
जी मैं आपके पास वापस आती हूँ. गौतम चिंतामणि, आई वांट टू नो, बट इट्स नॉट जस्ट द डायलॉग्स, it is the VFX. Like you rightly said that initially when it was released there was a backlash, they went back, they rethought about the entire thing. It's about some characters have been dressed, which Mukesh ji and others have also been saying. One of my colleagues told me that, you know, he's completely tattooed, he looks like, he doesn't look like the character. Someone is wearing leather shoes, someone is, there is, you know, there is galore of boo-boos in the film, as it were. Why, Gautam, it's not just about, it's just a shoddy job, because you see, I'm sorry, but you know, when in the West they try to retell a particular story, they take care of the accent, of the location, of the clothes, of the period pieces, every prop is in its place. You know, I mean, I keep looking for, will they make one mistake, kahin par koi galti kare, pakde inhe. But it's very difficult, you know. Do you think that we still don't have that skill? And apropos this film, Gautam Chintamani, that this film has many faults, as it were.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem of skill set. I think it's just a problem of intention and what you set out to make. If you know the whole idea of Baz Luhrmann's William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet comes to my mind. He set the film in a very modern setting, ultra modern setting, postmodern setting, but he used the same dialogues, the same Shakespearean dialogues were there. Now that tells you something. I mean, if you look at other films also, like in the recent past, there have been a lot of films which traverse a very touchy subject. I mean, if you look at Scorsese's Silence, which came a few months ago, or even if you go back and look at Martin Scorsese's attempt to make The Last Temptation of Christ, there was a huge backlash, but the backlash was on the same subjects on which the book was questioned. There was nothing about the film that was being questioned. Right. So I think here, this is the least one could have expected. I mean, you keep hearing that the budget of this is 500 crores or 600 crores. I don't think they had any decent researcher on hand. I don't think that I don't think many of them would have read the Ramayana in its entirety. Because I think what one saw in the teaser was that you took Planet of the Apes, I saw a scene on Twitter, somebody had put where Ravan is using a hammer and doing something, and he has a iron mask. So that is something straight out of 300 or films like that.
Yeah.
The reference point of these filmmakers, I mean, some people operate like that, but the reference point of these filmmakers is what we are seeing out there.
Right.
I don't think that there was any intention to be honest to Ramayana. I mean,
Yeah.
I think this was just a 600 crore cool kick that they wanted, and it just exposes how stupid they are more than anything else.
All right. Karthik Chopra, I want to ask you that some of the people I've been reading on social media, they said, listen, the censor board passed it. So, why is it you don't like the film? Don't watch it. Avoid it. You don't have to go. No one is putting a gun to your temple. Why are you going on and on about it? That's not my opinion. I've stuck my neck out today and I've said what I had to Karthik Chopra. But do you think that we should wait, before, now they've jumped and said, hum dialogue badal denge, hum ye badal denge, wo badal denge. But do you think we are running away because there is something called the censor board in this country?
You see, the censor board has obviously watched this movie with its eyes shut and its ears closed. If they feel that there's nothing wrong with these dialogues. One. Two, as far as the government is concerned, which is pretty much a pro-Hindu government in all its, in a lot of its activities, I think they also need to say that, we're not leaving this on the censor board. This movie needs to be pulled back, re-looked at, and no further screenings allowed. Because, the more the movie keeps getting screened, the more the controversy will go and the more insult to injury. This has to stop immediately.
All right. Mukesh Khanna ji, I want you to also concentrate on the creative aspect of it, that is the cinematic, as it were. Of course, the dialogues are ridiculous, to say the least. These words like baap and, I do not know, I can't repeat it again and again. But, apart from that, you pointed out several other scenes. But according to you, where is it? Let's keep the dialogues apart. We've spoken about it. But as a cinematic experience, considering you're a man of the cinema, where do you think what really has, stood out for you as saying, this should not have been allowed? Come on, what were you thinking? Like Gautam Chintamani said, they should have done better research on the film.
See, I'll tell you one. I'll read out. Somebody made a very observation. कि आपको क्यों देखना चाहिए? Why should you watch Adipurush? You will know what mistakes Valmiki ji has made, and Adipurush has improved upon it. Number one, सोने की लंका का रंग काला था. माता सीता पीले की जगह श्वेत वस्त्र पहनती थी. रावण पुष्पक विमान की जगह चमगादड़ की सवारी. शिव भक्त रावण रुद्राक्ष भी तोड़ देता. लक्ष्मण जी स्टाइलाइज बियर्ड रखते थे और रावण कूल हेयर स्टाइल रखता. आगे सुनिए. माता सीता ने हनुमान जी को जोड़ा मणि नहीं दी, कड़ा था. फिर प्रणाम जो होता है वो हाथ जोड़कर नहीं किया जाता, इसमें प्रणाम सीने पर हाथ रख के किया. मेघनाथ ने पूरे शरीर पर टैटू बनवाए थे. आदिपुरुष के टीम ने बहुत रिसर्च करके पता लगाया है कि रावण जो था वो अजगरों की शैया पर लेटा करता था. रावण रॉक स्टार. No, these are not created by somebody. These are there in the film, and the person has pointed out you should see the film to find out the mistakes of Valmiki. These people have corrected it. What atrocity! You did. That's what I said. They don't even know what avatar Ravan got the Vardhan from Shivji. Everybody knows. And यहाँ पर क्या दिखाया? हिरण्यकश्यप को जो अवतार दिया गया था कि न तुम दिन में मरोगे, न तुमको कोई आदमी मारेगा, न तुमको मारेगा, वो इन्होंने लगा दिया इसके साथ बिना किसी को रिसर्च किए, बिना किसी को पूछे. इन्होंने कई चीजें ऐसे कर दी हैं जो रामायण में है ही नहीं. और फिर वो कहते हैं हम आपके बच्चों के लिए बना रहे हैं क्योंकि हम आपके बच्चों को, आपको ये कहना चाहिए, बिगाड़ना चाहिए. आई एम अफ्रेड ऑफ द यूथ ऑफ टुडेज कंट्री who has been through Google getting lots of misinformation about our dharm, culture, parampara. They will भटक जाएंगे वो लोग. आगे जाके माँ बाप तो छोड़िए, आप दादा दादी का नाम भी भूल जाएंगे. The way you go with the mobile on a beach and just pass the whole day there, you will not even remember the names of the people at your house. And here they are talking about. They are changing the names, they are changing the dresses, they are changing the costumes.
True.
The way as I said, Ram is looking like an Atiq Ahmed. This was the most hilarious comment somebody gave me.
Well, I mean, Gautam Chintamani, I want to ask you, there are others who are sitting there and saying, it's made its money, you know what, 350 crores. So, the more the controversy, the more money they will make. Publicity is good. Bad publicity or good publicity, publicity is good for a film. What does one say? At what cost, I wonder, will we distort what is, I don't know if I should, Gautam, use the word sacred, but something very precious to us. At what cost? Because that's what they're all going to say. They are saying already, let me tell you, on social media platforms. What's your reaction to that? Ki paise to ban gaye?
No, I think paise ban gaye honge.
Let me interrupt you. What is the authenticity of saying 100 crore, 200 crore, 300 crore? Is income tax is going to check that? It is just thrown on us and we believe the car this be figured, doctor. Car this the tickets be sold, car this be, because they are in a panic stage. So I am not even agreeing to the figure because it is okay. Initially people jayenge.
Right, okay. Gautam, go on.
No, I agree with what Mukesh ji is saying. Dekhiye, simple mathematics in the film industry is that if a film has to make its money and become a hit, it has to earn more than double that amount. So unless this film earns 1200 to 1300 crores, it's not going to be a hit. Manoj Muntasir, Om Rao and a few others would have made their money because they would have taken money upfront.
Yes.
Now, having said that, I think that this film is going to die. The interest is going to wane out because right now there's a lot of publicity being pumped in that, watch the film or don't watch the film, watch it to find out how bad it is or watch it to see what creative liberty means. Ye 1-1.5 hafta aur chalega. But I don't think that it's going to have a larger impact. But the larger impact which it is going to have is that it will be okay to push the envelope. This film has set a new precedent of sorts where you say that itna theek hai, ab isse niche aapko kuch bhi dikhana hai to koi fark nahi padega. Ab, like the dialogue that we've been repeating, you have made Hanuman ji say baap.
Yes.
That's set a standard. उसके नीचे वो कुछ भी बोले, we'll say कि आदिपुरुष जितनी खराब नहीं थी ये फिल्म. So that is the bigger problem. And what Mukesh ji said, I totally agree that if this was meant for children, then what Ramayana is this for children?
Exactly.
And this is going to be their interpretation. Tomorrow they may make a modern Ramayana saying that, I don't want to quote trouble here, but they can say anything. They can say that Lakshman refuses to accompany Sri Ram to the jungle. He said, "Bhai, tum jao, main kyun jaun?" Okay.
Exactly.
Or something or the other may happen and we'll say fine. We'll say this is also okay.
Yeah, but it's not fine because like even I said, and there are some things which are very precious to us, and creative liberty does not mean that you're bordering on idiocy, as it were. I mean, I've completely run out of time. Thank you very much, all my guests. Mr. Mukesh Khanna, thank you indeed, sir. Gautam Chintamani, thank you very much. Karthik Chopra, thank you. And thank you very much, Praveen Gandhi, for joining us on the broadcast. I wish I had more time because there are more dialogues which have now come to my notice. And let me tell you something, they're not ridiculous, they are ludicrous, really. So that's the story about Adipurush right now, which is now mired in controversy. But for all the other news and analysis, keep watching News9 Live.
In January 2023, Gautam Adani was the world's third richest person. Bloomberg had recently announced that he'd made more billions than anyone else on the planet in 2022. He was the darling of investors. Then, disaster struck. On January 24th, a US-based short seller alleged share price manipulation and accounting fraud. Adani's stock prices crashed. In less than 10 days, his companies lost over 8 lakh crore rupees in valuation. Adani is now the world's 30th richest person. He acted swiftly, though, to contain the damage. And yet, he's holding on to the Dharavi redevelopment project. He will invest 25,000 crore rupees to redevelop Asia's largest slum. But why?
Somebody like an Adani would definitely love to take it up and complete it.
Dharavi will be Mumbai's biggest commercial hub after its redevelopment. Adani will be the biggest commercial landholder.
Dharavi could generate 6 lakh crore rupees a year once it is redeveloped. This can serve Adani in 2 ways, commercial and social. Gautam Adani could turn savior and savvy investor, a slumdog billionaire, if you will.
I would want to highlight the importance of Dharavi as a social commitment. Remodeling it and bringing urbanization back to this property is something which will have a huge social upside, social equity to be generated. The other side is the commercial angle. Let's identify that this is a very large property, absolutely centrally located in the city of Mumbai, very close to the biggest business district of the country called Bandra-Kurla complex.
Dharavi came into focus because there was a plan to release the vast land which is connected by maybe 3 to 4 railway stations, which is a very unique situation.
It constitutes of 10 lakhs dwellers over there. And, it's a very thriving hub for small scale industry. Approximately, close to 7,000 to 800,000 crores of trade is done on an annual basis. It's hub for, small scale industries, especially leather. And it provides employment to a huge number of population who are kind of residents of Dharavi itself.
Dharavi is sandwiched between the eastern suburb of Sion and the western suburb of Mahim. Mumbai's most successful reclaimed business district, the Bandra-Kurla complex, is just 2 kilometers from Dharavi. The international airport, also managed by Adani, is 12 kilometers from Dharavi. While BKC is seen as upscale and pricey, Dharavi could be marketed as its more affordable cousin next door, but just as close to the airport. A win-win proposition for Gautam Adani.
In Bandra-Kurla complex, a few of the very high-end properties are sold for 100,000 rupees a square feet in that range. So when you're going to develop Dharavi and you will use the free sale component to bring in real estate into the industry, you will obviously not bring everything in the super high or uber luxury range only. You will have to create a mix of mid-end to high-end housing, mid to high-end office complexes, etc.
Once the government orders are issued, we'll go ahead and give the letter of award. Then we are going to sign an MOU, and the most important step will be the formation of an SPV, where government is a party. In 17 years, if you ask me, Dharavi will look like the rest of Mumbai, but with its own identity kept intact.
It's a complex project. It's a large project. It's a project where you have to dismantle our economy. So if you are redeveloping the whole livelihood, whole city, then there would be impact on the livelihood of the people, and there would be a resistance from the people.
In the Union Territory of Chandigarh, 10 lakh people stay in 114 square kilometers. In Dharavi, an equal number lives in just 2.1 square kilometers. And the approximate cost of Dharavi's land is 1.7 lakh crore.
State GST for 5 years during construction, which was never happened earlier. And this is the first time, thanks to the efforts by Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, Sri Devendraji Fadnavis, we got the railway land, of course. But he also wanted that the local industry should thrive. So he proposed, and the cabinet of course approved, and the GR has been issued that there should be state GST reimbursement for the existing industries and commercial structures.
It will be a mixed use, not only residential, not only commercial. It's close to 10 crore square feet of a development, out of which 4 crore is a residential and 3 crore square feet would be commercial.
That free sale residential commercial ultimately is unfortunately going to also spoil the ideal city fabric of Dharavi, because that residential component which will be selling at say 50, 60, 1 lakh rupees per square feet, that commercial component will be selling at that rate, will only bring in outsiders.
Beyond real estate numbers, redeveloping Asia's largest slum also has huge social ramifications for its residents.
On the one side, you have the social aspect where you will have to keep in mind the working class. At the same time, the city managers will also, and they are very important to the political class because they are voters. You will have to bring in swanky buildings, you will have to bring in that level of infrastructure and commercial structures. Now, both of them will cost money.
The slum, it's considered to be the largest slums in pocket in the country. I think over a period of time, you may see that the Mumbai will become slum-free.